We made it, guys. You made it through a 5-week series. Congratulations. As anyone that knows me would tell you, to hear me talk for 5 weeks about anything is a superhuman feat. So great job. Today we're concluding the series we've been going through on Ecclesiastes, looking at perhaps the most important and final thing in this concluding message. A lighthouse keeper once worked at a lonely station on a rocky coast. Every night for 30 years, he climbed the spiral staircase, lit the beacon, and kept watch through the night. Ships would pass safely in the dark, their captains never knowing his name. His son often complained, "Dad, this is so boring. Why do you do this? No one even notices what you do up here. Why don't you find something different?" And the father would smile at his son and say, "Son, it's my role. I keep the light burning." One night a terrible storm arose, and the son, now helping with the lighthouse duties, watched his father struggle up the stairs despite having a terrible fever. "Dad, you're sick," he said. "Skip the shift for tonight. It won't matter. Everything will be okay. It's just one night off." And the old keeper shook his head and said, "Son, it's my role. I keep the light burning." And in the midst of the storm, they watched a giant ship fighting mountainous waves, clearly off course, heading right for the rocks. But the lighthouse beam cut through the darkness, and slowly the ship corrected its path to safety. Dawn broke and the storm cleared. The son finally understood his father wasn't keeping the light burning because it was exciting to do, or because anyone thanked him, or because anyone knew his name. No, he did it because it was his portion, it was his duty, and on this night, that simple, faithful duty had meant the difference between the life and death for hundreds of strangers on a ship that he would never meet. After 12 chapters of searching and questioning and examining what makes a human life truly meaningful, the author of Ecclesiastes arrives at his conclusion. He writes, "Now all has been heard. Here is the conclusion of the matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the duty of all humankind." After all of the sophisticated philosophy and existential questioning, the teacher concludes with something remarkably simple, not a complex theological system, not an intricate moral framework, simply this: fear God, keep his commandments. This is human duty. It seems at the same time anticlimactic and kind of foreboding, these words. But that is precisely the point. The writer has gone through 12 chapters of exploring. He is producing his conclusion to the matter. He has stripped away everything non-essential. All has been heard. We've had all the conversations. We've discussed it all. We've debated it all, but here's the conclusion. Fear God. Keep his commandments. This is your duty. Wisdom distilled. No additives, no flavorings, no preservatives. Just 3 things. What does it mean to fear God? How many of you, when you hear that, think, "Oh, yeah, I need to be terrified of God"? How many of you think that? How many of you were taught that it is the fear of God ultimately that gets us to change in our lives? The God that we are afraid of confronting with our most honest selves. There's a scripture in the book of Proverbs, you might have heard it. It says, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of" what? Do you know it? Wisdom. That's right. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, we read in the Old Testament. What does that really mean? Does it mean that, oh, well, I kind of need to watch out because God's always after me. He sees everything I do, and I need to kind of be scared of that, and that's what starts me off on the road of wisdom? No. That's not what it's talking about. You know why the fear of God is the beginning of wisdom? It's because when you truly fear God, you realize that God is the one that's completely in control and you are not. Does that not satisfy the requirements of terror for you that you associate with that word? It's not being afraid of what God would do to you, but being afraid of what is possible for God. Just think about it. And if you think about God in your mind and there's not some sort of feeling of incapability or loss or smallness, you don't truly fear the Lord. You don't truly revere the one who knows the position of every ocean wave. You are not in control, and you can rest in that. That's what it means to truly fear God. Number 2, we're supposed to keep his commandments. And I have bad news for you. There's far more than 10 of them. The Bible is filled with do's and don'ts. You should do this. You shouldn't do that. You shall do this. You shall not do that. To break it down for you and make it a little easier to swallow, Jesus Christ brilliantly said that all of the laws and all of the codes that you read in Scripture can be fulfilled if you do one thing with 2 parts. If you love your God and love your neighbor. If you do that, every commandment is fulfilled. We are to revere God. We are to walk in love. This is our duty. This is your duty. Your duty is not your job. You might work your job for decades, but your job is not your purpose. Your purpose is to love and to revere. Consider what this duty looks like in ordinary moments. The parent who changes yet another diaper at 3 a.m. Not because it's fulfilling. If you've been there, you know it's hard, it's terrible. But why do we do it? Because that's what love does. The employee who does excellent work even when no one notices and their supervisor is just an animal. Because integrity in one's work does not require an audience, and it doesn't require recognition. The friend who shows up again and again, not because they have solutions to your problems, but because presence is what friendship looks like. Simply being there, even if you're just as lost. The neighbor who quietly brings in your empty garbage cans for you because you've lived there a long time and they know that this is your busy season. They do that because that's what community demands of us. Most of the time, following the commands of God don't have to do with extraordinary things. They have to do with ordinary things. Ordinary duties, everyday stuff, the daily practice of knowing our place in the world. Knowing why we're here and simply doing that. The conclusion of wisdom is not complexity. It's simplicity. It's reduction. Our culture has taught us to be suspicious of duty. We've been conditioned to believe that obligation is the enemy of authenticity. We've come to this place where we believe that to really have freedom means that one lives without constraints. But the writer is trying to suggest something different to us here in his final words, that duty is not the opposite of freedom. Duty is actually the foundation that creates freedom for everyone. When we do these two things, we realize we're not in control. We might be in control of a lot, but we're not in control of the alignment of the planets. We just admit that there is a limit to us. And we trust the rest to God. And two, we love. That's your purpose. And if you stay busy doing those two things, I promise you, you may not get recognition in your life. You may not make a lot of money for it. People might not know your name. But your life will be more fulfilling when you make it about these two things more than anything else. And anytime you handle these two things, as the writer asks us to in your life, it also has the effect of improving the lives of everyone that you interact with. It removes selfishness. It removes ego. It removes the need to be right and the need to be heard. And it simply takes its place in the universe where God is in control. And he is showing us how to love one another as we navigate this life. In conclusion this morning, we live in a world that is constantly telling us we are not enough. It seems that any and every generation is duped into that lie. No generation has ever felt like they were enough. And I hope that throughout this series, you've learned in the quiet pauses of your day that you are enough without adding anything, without conjuring anything up, without faking. Who you are as a person is enough. Even if you have some people in life that are telling you that you aren't, you are. You're enough as a mom, you're enough as a dad, you're enough as a parent, you're enough as a kid, you're enough as a student. Be there in those seasons. Know that you're not completely in control, but that you can love anyway. And all the seasons of your life will not be smooth sailing. But you will maintain your purpose within them, I promise. Will you pray with me?